آله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبع هداه أما بعد. So what we're doing is going over our lessons, the lessons that we previously covered, and that was by seeing how we can benefit from these lessons by finding ayat in the Qur'an al-Kareem that have these words. This encourages us to be able to increase our contemplation when we're reading the Quran, and it also gives us that encouragement that what we have been learning, it serves a direct purpose, and it helps us to understand the Quran, and that draws your attention to things that you previously may not have noticed. So we reached, if I'm right, الدرس الثاني والعشرون, and الدرس الثاني والعشرون, it's a recap of what previously was mentioned. So this should be easy for everyone, inshallah. And basically, الفعل or فعل المضارع, it is, as we know, it can either be مرفوع, it can be, which is the asl, and it can also be mansoob, and it can also be majzoom. And marfu' is how we usually find it, and that means it has a dhamma on the end of it. Or if it's from the al-af'al al-khamsa, then in that case you'll have the waw and the noon, the waw being for jam' and noon being for the alamat al-raf'. And also with fi'l mudari', which we previously mentioned, is that we've learned very early on, is that there is what is known as harf al-mudara'a, which is the first letter in the fi'l mudari'. And it can be one of four letters. What are the four letters of, what are the al-huruf al-mudara'a? Can anyone tell us? What are the four letters which might be found at the beginning of fi'l mudari'?
Can I say them?
You go ahead.
Alif, Ya, Noon, and Ta.
نعم أحسنتم. So أتينا or أنيتي or these four letters that have been mentioned also in the chat. Alif, Ta, Ya, Noon, Atayna is one way you might be able to remember it. Alif, Ta, Ya, Noon. These are the four huruf al-mudara'a. When you have fi'l madi, you only have to put one of these letters in front of it and then obviously pronounce it correctly to have a fi'l mudari'. And if it's marfu', it's either going to have a dhamma on the end of it, or it's going to have a noon on the end of it to show that's mudari'. But also, what is important to know is that sometimes the fi'l, you can't see that the sign, the alamat al-rafa', the sign of being marfu', or the sign of being mansoob, or the sign of being majzoom. You can't see it. Why? Because it is what is it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Mustatir.
Good try, Jazakallah khairan. The word I was looking for was mabniyun. Mabniyun. And that is for the case, for example, over here, where you have at-talibatu yadhhabna. Yadhhabna, this is in the marfu' form, because there's nothing that changed it from being marfu' to anything else. Whereas over here, lan yadhhabna, lan, it changes the fi'l mudari' into mansoob. But you can't see that it's mansoob because it's mabni. And also, الفعل المجزوم, which is the third one here, lam is one of the ways of having a fi'l mudari become majzoom. And here you have lam yadhhabna. Also, you can't see the alamatul jazm. It's also mabniyun, and therefore the jazm is not being, it's not shown. But why are these three, talibatu yadhhabna, lan yadhhabna, lam yadhhabna, why are these mabni? Can anyone tell me? What is it that made them mabni? Ayah Ahsanti. The sister says, Noon and Niswa. This noon, when it attached itself to the end of the fi'l mudari', then the whole fi'l became mabni. جيد. Let's look at fi'l al-mudari' al-mansoob. Mansoob can be, the asl is that it's going to be with a fatha, but it can also be with hadf and noon. Notice how there's a noon in the marfu', there's no noon over here. The alif is to denote that this is the fi'l has come to an end, and not to. No. So the noon is removed, and that is the sign of being mansoob. Interestingly, when you look at majzoom, it's also the sign of majzoom is in al-af'al al-khamsa, the 5 specific verbs. Also is hadfun nun. There's no nun there. So it's the same sign for mansoob and majzoom, where the nun is being removed. So how do we know which one is mansoob and which one is majzoom? Anyone? When they both have the same sign.
The harf that preceded it, or from the siyaq.
From the letter that came before it, the harf that came before it, the particle. Yeah, you know that lam is a jazim, you know that lan is a nasiba. So that's how you know. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one here. Lan is a nasiba, so you know this is majzoom. And lam is a jazima, so it's also going to be majzoom. So Ilyas asked the question. Yeah, you're right. So Ilyas says, isn't lam only for the past? That's a good question. And excellent question, actually, because lam is for the past. However, it negates the past, but in terms of how it's used in Arabic language, it only enters upon fi'l mudari'. It enters upon fi'l mudari' and it negates the past. Lam yadhhabu, they didn't go, they haven't gone, they haven't left. Yeah? And you don't say lam dhahaba. Lam dhahabu, you don't say that. But you will say lam yadhhabu, and that means they didn't go, they haven't left. They haven't gone. Okay, it basically means they haven't gone. Why are they using fi'l? Why do we use fi'l mudari' in this situation? It basically means up till this point in time, which is the present, they haven't left. They haven't gone. Which means they still might go. So it's a negation, not about something that happened in the past and finished. They still have the opportunity to go. And that's the difference of ma dhahaba, he didn't go, and lam yadhhabu, they haven't gone. They're still here, like you're looking at your watch and wondering when they're going to leave. Okay? Or you can say, ma ja'a, he didn't come. Ma ja'a, he didn't come. And please mute this.
Ustaz, what's the meaning of halatu?
Oh, halat.
Halat, yeah.
Yeah. It's the state of.
Okay.
The three states of fi'l mudari. That's what it means.
Barakallahu fikum.
Barakallahu feekum. The states of fi'l mudari. Okay, so that's just a very quick recap, and then when you come to majzoom, then it's majzoom is going to be either with sukoon, and that is the asl. Then you also have hadf and noon, hadf and noon. Okay. Aywa, so Uthman asks, how do we say I will not go? That's when you use lan. You say lan adhab. Lan adhab, I will not go. That's lan is for negation of the future. And here the four letters that we were talking about earlier, that we heard, Madeenah, alif, ta, ya, and noon. Well, here is the ya, the beginning of those af'al, and here you find the alif at the beginning of those af'al. Also the ta is being used over here. You can see tadhhabu, and over here is the noon.
So sorry, Ustaz. Lan hadhu would be like for future tense.
Future, yes, lan.
Okay.
Lan adhab, that's talking about the future.
Okay, shukran jazakallah.
No. That's here is also, I think I'm mistaken here, right? Here's the ta, this is the ta, this is alif, and there's the noon. Okay, so very quickly now, I'm sure that you guys have done your homework, inshallah ta'ala, in order to keep the class active and lively. So, bi'idhnillah, start sending the ayat in the Quran that have any of these af'al al-mudara'ah in any of the tenses. Get the reference and send it in the chat. Get the reference and send it in the chat. بإذن تعالى.
لا عفوا
أيوة.
فاسي يا أستاذ قال سورة الكهف الخضر سيد موسى قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا.
تستطيع. Yes, that's لن تستطيع
معي صبرا.
So that fi'l there, تستطيع with a fatha on the end because it's mansoob because of lan. So that is that's an advanced pattern of the verb that we haven't yet covered. We'll be covering that inshallah. I think in book 3 bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And so it is actually fi'l mudari, even though we wouldn't have studied it and may not recognize it to be, but no, that is fi'l mudari. Ahsan, tabarakallah feek. Any other examples?
وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَنْ تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ.
أحسنت. وإن again please.
فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلوا سورة البقرة آية 24. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلوا فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلوا
تفعلوا. أحسنتم. جيد. Any more examples? We had an example being sent by Ilyas.
Ustaz, one more thing. وَلَنْ تَفْعَلوا is also there.
Yes. Also, one of the sisters says, لَن نَبْرَحَ. Does anyone know which surah that is in? لَن نَبْرَحَ. Yes?
Surah Taha.
Is it Taha, yeah?
Yeah.
I was thinking of Surah Yusuf.
Oh.
So let's have a look at the ayah in the app. Nab Raha. Maybe it comes in. There you go. Taha is there. قالوا لن نبرح عليه عاكفين حتى يرجع إلينا موسى. Surah Yusuf. فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي. And لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقوبا. This ayah here is so relevant and so important. Shaykh Rabi Hafidhullah Ta'ala, in his book Marhaban Ya Talib al-Ilm, he speaks about this ayah. And Musa alayhi salam said to his to the young boy that was his travel companion to help him, he said, I will never abraha, never cease, never stop, hatta, until ablugha. This is also fi'l mudari'. This is mansoob because of, after hatta, the fi'l mudari' is always going to be mansoob. It's not mansoob because of hatta. It's actually mansoob because of an, which is hidden, known as an al-mudmara. Same as we say lam al-ta'lil, after the lam, the fi'l is going to be mansoob because of an al-mudmara, hatta ablugha. And then majma' al-bahraini, the point where the two seas meet. This was the place that he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go and find Khidr, who had more knowledge than him. He said, I will never cease until I get to that place, never stop. أو أمضي حقوبا. The word حقوب you see over here, al-huqub means a long period of time. And Musa alayhi salam was willing to take that journey of knowledge for an extended period of time, as long as it would have taken him. They mentioned over here in some of the meanings, al-huquban zamanan tawilan قدر ب80 sana. It has been said that it's 80 years. So there's different explanations of the meaning of al-huqub. But what is definitely clear, it's a huge period of time for Musa alayhi salam to say that I will not cease until I get to, all of that was because of seeking knowledge. And this is, Shaykh Rabi mentions this as an encouragement to the seekers of Islamic knowledge, never to give up in their quest for knowledge, never to tire, and never to become weary. Doesn't matter what age you are in. Doesn't matter if you get married, you get busy. Doesn't matter if you get a job and you get busy. You have to dedicate your time, and you cannot ignore the importance of seeking knowledge. And this was the traveling, and this is a very important point. Traveling to seek knowledge is the way of the Anbiya, as taught by Musa alayhi salam. Traveling to seek knowledge was the way of the Sahaba also, where Jabir ibn Abdullah traveled for 1 month's journey. He went to Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, or to Sham to get one hadith. He got the hadith and he came back. And there are stories from the Sahaba like that. And then the Salaf, after that, they realized that this is the path that has been laid out for them by their predecessors, and they continued, and the ulama since that time. And Imam al-Bukhari, he said, I traveled and I met 1,000 scholars, and all of them said that Iman, and he mentions points of the belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Iman rises and falls, and he increases with, that Iman is statement and action, and belief in the heart, and it rises and falls. Or he said that it's belief, statements, and actions. So the point is that Imam Bukhari said, I traveled and I met 1,000 of the scholars. This is how the ulama were, traveling to seek knowledge. So we have some other contributions over here that I haven't seen yet. Naam. Lan.
Ustad, just a point I thought about. We read Surah Kahf, and for those of us who are reading it on a regular basis,
Yes.
And I'm sure we have come across this ayah so many times, but subhanAllah, we never, or at least I, never really pondered on this from this perspective. So subhanAllah, it just shows, how much we lack you know, like the
Yeah, it's
comprehension.
so beneficial, Akhi Muzammil. This is the reason why it's really beneficial, even if a topic that the scholar is about to deliver is one we're familiar with, and we've heard it many times already. For example, the virtue of seeking knowledge, the benefit of seeking knowledge. You still listen to it, and the perspective or the thing that the Sheikh is going to mention, it could be the first time that we're hearing it. So just by reading that reading the transcript of the lecture, or listening to the lecture, and you get these benefit from this surah, you know. So all of it amounts to the same thing, which is the importance and the relevance of seeking knowledge. Very relevant. So every Jummah, we're all reading Surah Al-Kahf, and yet, you know, some may be contemplating more than others, and others less. And sitting with the ulama, even on lessons of tafsir, for example, will give you access to that knowledge. طيب.
Also, وَلَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُ.
Yeah, I think that's without the waw, is it?
وَلَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُم. لَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ.
المنافقون سواء عليهم استغفرت لهم أم لم تستغفر لهم لن يغفر الله لهم. What are you referring to?
Also Surah Inshiqaq, Ayah 14, إنه ظن أن لن يحور.
أيوة أحسنت. That should be here because I just typed in none and it came.
What about, I'm sorry, Ustaz, what about when it says Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَن تَرْكَ الْيَهُودُ النَّصَارَى?
Exactly, that's one of the ayah that was mentioned in the text, in the chat already. وَلَن تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَى. So تَرْضَى is فعل مضارع and it is mansub. Yeah, and but the alamatul nasb we can't see it because of this alif maksur at the end. But it is mansub. Alamatul this is, you don't say mabni in this case. This is when you say it is mansub bifathatin muqaddara. The assumed fatha it's been prevented because it's not possible to show up in that case because of the alif is already there. And then in Surah Al-Jinn, قُلْ إِنِّي لَن يُجِيرَنِي. Ajara yujiru. Again, this is the example that was posted by Ilyas from Surah Jinn, ayah 22. So that is fi'l mudari', but again, that's a pattern which is advanced that we haven't studied yet, which is ajara yujiru af'ala yuf'ilu. And this is the example that Brother Muzammil was mentioning. That is المنافقون لن يغفر الله. The hypocrites, if you were to seek forgiveness for them or not, Allah will not forgive them. Because the munafiqun, the nifaq i'tiqadi, the ones who disbelieve actually in Islam, but they profess it just for their worldly benefit, they're not Muslims. But we have to treat them like Muslims. That's the rule in Islam. Now, their reckoning is with Allah. And Allah Ta'ala says that they are in the lowest pit of the hellfire. I'm just taking the word lan as a search item and going forward. Now you can see in Shiqaq, there you go, this is the example that Ilyas mentioned. I think it was Ilyas, was it? إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَلَّن يَحُورَ. أَلَّن يَحُورَ. You can see there's a fatha on that. Okay. Let's keep going because time is short. We've got quite a few examples. Also, any more examples in the chat? وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نُؤْمِنَ. That's excellent. لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً فَأَخَذَتْكُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. لَن نُؤْمِنَ. جيد. Also, Surah Baqarah, Ayah 80, وقالوا لن تمسنا النار إلا أياما معدودة. أحسنت. And also, أم تقولون على الله. I'm just reading from the chat box. From you can see on the side the messages that have been sent earlier at 7:20. At 20 past, Ilyas said that the ayah, Surah Baqarah, ayah 80. Uthman sends also the same ayah. And then we have some references. Ahlan, Zayd, barakallahu feek. Let's go to lesson 23. Lesson 23, what was being focused on over here? What was being focused on was the numbers. 20, 30, 40, 50. And there is something really interesting that was sent to me. I think it was emailed to the Markaz Athari email. And I will. Do you have it, Ustad Muzammil? Can you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm referring to the thing that you showed me about the numbers with the dial on it. Yeah, I've just found it right now. I'm just trying to see if it opens and downloads. Yes, here it is. That in a second. This will keep us busy, inshallah, for the rest of the lesson. Okay, I'll open that and then I will share it. New share. Share screen. There it is. So subhanallah al-azim. So Dars al-Thalith wal-Ishrun was about the numbers 20, 30, 40. And here you have all of the numbers in the Quran, in Arabic, in the ayat in the Quran. And this can be shared with everyone, inshallah. But you can just have a look. Let's start with 20. Now, the homework can actually be for you to get the references to these ayat. So can someone read these ayat? Can you all see them? Can we have a reader, please?
Barely see it. Barely see it.
Oh, it's not clear for you?
I read them.
Clear for me because I'm on a phone. That's why.
Oh, I see. Yeah. If you're on the phone, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read.
Go ahead. Can you see it, Ilyas?
Yes.
You going to read it?
Shall I read 20?
Yes. Please, from 20, inshallah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إياكم منكم 20 صابرون.
Sent. 20 صابرون. Yeah. Okay. And then 30.
وحمله وفصاله 30 شهرا.
Sent. That's referring to the child that is breastfed. Go for 40.
وإذ وعدنا موسى 40 ليلة.
جيد. Now here 40 has a ya before the noon. And why is that?
It's مفعول به.
It's maf'ul on something, right? Because it's related to the fi'l. Musa alayhi salam was given an appointment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go to Jabal at-Tur for 40 nights. وَعَدْنَا وَإِذْ وَعَدْنَا Musa. So Musa is the al-maf'ul bihi, and arba'ina. This is Allahu A'lam, maybe it's maf'ul. Maybe some verbs have two maf'uls. So this may be maf'ul thani. Keep going, please. 50. خمسون.
ألف سنة إلا 50 عاما.
What's that referring to?
Oh, is it the Nuh alayhi salam, how many years he was guiding the people?
أحسنت يا نياس ما شاء الله. You're impressing us more and more. الله يبارك فيك. ألف سنة إلا 50 عاما. And this word إلا, this is showing exception. Istithna, this is a big lesson in itself, which comes in book 3 بإذن الله, to show us different types of istithna, whether it's something istithna munqati', istithna muttasil, and tam and naqis, different types with different results. Keep going. ستون.
فإطعام 60 مسكينا.
What's that about?
Feeding of 60 poor people.
Yeah, that's a recompense for different
صيام
things.
كفارة صيام.
طيب 70.
ذرعها 70 ذراعا.
Allahu Akbar. Which surah does that come in? You know that surah.
Surah Ma'arij.
Is it Ma'arij or Haqqah?
Let me check
I think
quickly.
you're right. I think you're right.
No, it's Haqqa. It's Haqqa.
It's in Haqqah, is it?
It's Haqqa.
This is when he was given his book in his left hand.
نعم.
فأما من أوتي كتابه بشماله فيقول يا ليتني لم أوت كتابيه ولم
أدري ما حسابي.
Keep going.
يا ليتها كانت القاضية.
ما أغنى عني
مالية. هلك عني سلطانية. خذوه فغلوه ثم الجحيم صلوا ثم في سلسلة ذرعها 70 ذراعا فاسلكوه.
That's the ayah here. Yeah. ثم, was it again? The beginning of the ayah?
ثم في سلسلة
في سلسلة ذرعها 70 ذراعا. A chain, the length of 70 cubits, to be tied and chained up in before going to the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the fire of hell. Ayub, can you see it? Do I have to turn it around? Can you? Oh, look, it turns.
70. So فجلدوهم 80 جلدة.
Yes, 80 whips for a certain sinner. Keep going. Let me turn it the other way around. So we have now 99.
له 99 نعجة.
Barakallahu feekum. طيب, we're going to have to stop there because it's almost time for Isha. We will stop inshallah. And is it possible to share this on the WhatsApp group? I'll actually share it myself, otherwise if I can't, then Muzammil can do it for us. Barakallahu feek.
Please do, inshallah.
And Akhir Uthman is asking, how can you know when the lesson is live? مفعول ثاني. أيوة أحسنت أخي عمران. جزاك الله خيرا. Basically, I think you email Markaz Athari. So I'll leave it to Ustaz Muzammil to mention inshallah how it is. طيب, we'll stop there. I think you have to email Markaz Athari Akhi Uthman, and inshallah you will be added to the mailing list. And then also there's a WhatsApp group that you can join. I'm able to get you the link right now, inshallah. Give me a second. I'll give you a link to that room. You can. That's also a way of knowing, a quick way of knowing. Copy link. There is. طيب يا إخوان